For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On a warm evening in 2004, 27-year-old Adriana Costas, a newlywed, stepped away from her bustling wedding celebration on a vibrant Key West pier for a moment of air. She never returned. Despite an immediate, extensive investigation by local authorities and a desperate, wide-ranging search across the treacherous Florida waters, Adriana vanished without a trace, leaving behind a bewildered new husband, Luca Ferraro, and a stunned wedding party. For 9 agonizing years, her family lived with torturous uncertainty, haunted by countless what-ifs and the crushing weight of unanswered questions. Then, in 2013, a truly improbable discovery was made, hidden deep within the worming, decaying timbers of the very pier where she was last seen. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Adriana Costas and the incredible, etched secret unearthed from the depths of the ocean. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Key West, Florida, a place synonymous with vibrant sunsets and perpetual celebration, provided the backdrop for what should have been the most joyous evening in Adriana Costas's life. On a balmy evening in 2004, the iconic Mallory Square Pier, usually a stage for street performers and tourists, had been transformed into an elegant outdoor venue for her wedding reception. At 27, Adriana, radiant in her white gown, had just exchanged vows and was now celebrating with family and friends. The air hummed with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the rhythmic beat of a live band, all under a sky painted in hues of orange and purple as the sun dipped below the horizon. Moments earlier, the traditional bouquet toss had concluded amidst cheers and playful jostling. Adriana, perhaps overwhelmed by the day's emotions, or simply seeking a brief respite from the festive chaos, moved towards the railing overlooking the dark expanse of the Gulf. She paused, appearing to take a deep breath, an innocuous gesture observed by few in the bustling crowd. The band, having momentarily paused after the bouquet toss, struck up another lively tune, its melody once again filling the pier. Guests resumed their conversations, some drifting towards the bar, others returning to the dance floor, the celebration continuing its joyful course. It was only a short while later that a subtle shift in the atmosphere began. Her new husband, looking to share a dance, realized Adriana was not where he had last seen her. A quick scan of the immediate vicinity yielded no sign. Confusion quickly morphed into a quiet unease, then a growing panic. Guests began to search, calling her name over the music, their initial smiles fading into expressions of concern. The joyful celebration had abruptly ceased, replaced by a desperate, hurried search. Had she merely stepped away for a moment? Did she go inside? The questions multiplied with each passing minute, each unanswered query deepening the unsettling silence that now permeated the pier. The pier, once a symbol of festivity, now felt vast and menacing. The initial, terrifying realization settled upon everyone present. Adriana Costas, the newlywed bride, had vanished without a trace from a crowded pier, leaving behind only unanswered questions and the chilling silence of her absence. Had she fallen into the dark waters below, or had something more sinister transpired in the heart of the celebration? The mystery had just begun. The festive chaos of the wedding reception on the Key West Pier was abruptly replaced by the stark, methodical order of a police investigation. Sirens wailed in the distance, drawing closer, their mournful cries slicing through the night air. Uniformed officers, then detectives, quickly descended upon Mallory Square, their presence a somber counterpoint to the earlier revelry. What had been a stage for celebration now became a potential crime scene, cordoned off, its joyful echoes silenced by the grim reality of a missing person. Immediate search efforts commenced with a desperate urgency. Officers meticulously scoured every inch of the pier, their flashlights cutting through the encroaching darkness, searching for any dropped item, any sign of struggle, any clue to Adriana's fate. Below, Coast Guard vessels and local marine patrols launched into the inky waters surrounding the pier. Powerful searchlights swept the surface, illuminating the choppy currents but revealing nothing more than the dark, undulating expanse. Dive teams were mobilized, facing the formidable challenge of searching the murky depths beneath the bustling pier, a labyrinth of pilings and shifting sands. Simultaneously, ground teams fanned out into the immediate vicinity, checking nearby streets, businesses, and the labyrinthine alleys of Old Town Key West, questioning anyone who might have seen Adriana leave the pier by land. Among the first to be interviewed was Luca Ferraro, the best man. Still reeling from the shock, Ferraro recounted Adriana's radiant mood throughout the evening, offering no indication of distress or any intention to leave. He confirmed her brief moment at the railing, a detail consistent with others, but could provide no further insight into her subsequent disappearance. Sheila Ng, the pier's dockmaster, provided crucial operational details. She outlined the pier's usual security protocols, the typical vessel traffic, including tenders from larger cruise ships and private charters, and the general ebb and flow of pedestrian activity. However, no security footage from the pier itself offered a clear view of Adriana's final moments, and no dock staff had reported any unusual activity. The initial hours stretched into days, marked by a frustrating absence of tangible evidence. There was no body, no sign of a fall into the water, no witness to an abduction, no struggle marks on the pier, no discarded personal effects. Adriana Costas had simply vanished, leaving behind only the lingering scent of celebration and a profound, chilling void. The sheer volume of people on the pier that evening, coupled with the open, dynamic environment, presented an immediate and formidable challenge to investigators. The initial theories ranged from an accidental fall into the unforgiving ocean currents to a more sinister, deliberate act. With each passing hour, the hope of a quick resolution diminished, replaced by the grim realization that this was not merely a missing person case, but a deep, perplexing mystery. The initial fervent search for Adriana Costas, which had gripped Key West in the immediate aftermath of her disappearance, gradually lost its momentum. Days turned into weeks, and the round-the-clock efforts by law enforcement, Coast Guard, and countless volunteers began to yield diminishing returns. Every lead, no matter how tenuous, was pursued with diligence, yet each path ultimately led to a dead end. The waters surrounding the pier were meticulously searched and researched, divers braving the challenging conditions beneath the docks, but no trace of Adriana's body or any personal effects emerged. Interviews with wedding guests, pier staff, and local residents continued, but no one could provide the crucial detail that would unlock the mystery. Without a body, a weapon, or a credible witness to a crime, investigators found themselves facing an invisible wall. The initial flood of tips slowed to a trickle, then ceased altogether. Public appeals, initially met with widespread media attention and community support, began to wane. Local news reports, once dominated by Adriana's smiling face, were slowly pushed aside by new headlines. National interest, briefly piqued by the baffling case of the vanished bride, moved on to other stories. For Adriana's family and friends, however, the silence was deafening, and the absence was a constant, gnawing pain. Her new husband, shattered by the events, struggled to comprehend how joy could so swiftly transform into an unimaginable void. Her parents, living with the agonizing uncertainty, clung to every faint hope, even as time relentlessly eroded their optimism. Each passing holiday, each birthday, served as a stark reminder of her absence, a testament to the unanswered questions that haunted their waking hours and invaded their dreams. As the months bled into years, the official investigation, having exhausted all available avenues, inevitably scaled back. The active task force dissolved, and the numerous binders filled with reports, interviews, and speculative theories were moved from active desks to the somber shelves of unsolved cases. The file on Adriana Costas was formally marked as a cold case, a designation that offered little solace to those who loved her. The vibrant mystery of the bride who vanished from a bustling pier became a lingering, unresolved tragedy, a dark stain on the otherwise bright tapestry of Key West. 9 years passed in this agonizing stasis. The pier continued to host its daily sunset celebrations, oblivious to the enduring sorrow linked to one fateful night. The case, devoid of new information or breakthroughs, seemed destined to remain an eternal enigma, a ghost story whispered in the humid Key West air. 9 years had passed since the disappearance of Adriana Costas, a stretch of time that had dulled the sharpness of public memory, but had done little to diminish the profound sorrow of her family. Key West, ever resilient, continued its vibrant existence, the Mallory Square Pier remaining a bustling hub of activity, its daily sunsets drawing crowds who were, for the most part, unaware of the lingering tragedy that had once marred its festive atmosphere. The case of the vanished bride had long since receded into the archives of unsolved mysteries, a poignant local legend whispered occasionally by those who remembered the chilling events of 2004. Then, in the late summer of 2013, an unforeseen natural phenomenon disrupted the routine rhythm of the island. An unusually severe combination of astronomical tides and sustained offshore winds resulted in an exceptionally low tide, exposing parts of the Key West Pier's substructure that had not seen daylight in decades. The normally submerged pilings, usually hidden beneath the murky green waters, now stood partially revealed, their lower sections encrusted with marine growth and visibly ravaged by years of exposure to salt and the relentless work of burrowing organisms. It was during this rare environmental event that a maintenance crew, conducting routine inspections of the exposed wooden supports, made a startling discovery. Amidst the barnacles and the dark, worm-eaten wood of one particular piling, a distinct glint of gold caught the eye of a seasoned worker. Wedged deep within a gnawed-out channel, almost as if deliberately placed there by an unseen hand, was a small, ornate gold ring. Its design suggested it was not a common piece of jewelry, and its location defied any logical explanation. The immediate realization of its potential significance was palpable. For anyone familiar with the unresolved case of Adriana Costas, the connection was instant and terrifyingly clear. A gold ring, found in a pier piling, 9 years after a bride vanished from that very pier. The news traveled quickly, reigniting a flicker of hope that had long been extinguished. Law enforcement was immediately notified. The section of the pier was swiftly cordoned off, transforming the mundane discovery into a meticulously protected piece of evidence. Marine forensics specialists, working with painstaking care, were dispatched to the scene. They carefully documented the ring's exact position, photographing it in situ before gently extracting it from its ancient wooden prison. The object, now carefully secured, represented more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a tangible link to a 9-year-old cold case, a silent testament unearthed by the sea itself, promising to finally speak. The discovery of the gold ring, nestled within the ancient wood of the Key West Pier, sent a jolt through the Key West Police Department, immediately triggering the official reopening of Adriana Costas's cold case. 9 years of dormancy evaporated in an instant as detectives pulled the voluminous files from storage, their contents now viewed through the prism of this startling new evidence. The initial phase of the reinvigorated investigation centered entirely on the ring itself, a tangible artifact that promised to speak volumes where human witnesses had failed. Under sterile conditions, the small gold band underwent a meticulous forensic examination. Specialists carefully cleaned away the marine residue, searching for any identifying marks. An engraving, a unique jeweler's stamp, or even microscopic traces of DNA. Its design, though corroded by years of saltwater exposure, suggested a piece of significant sentimental value, reinforcing the immediate assumption that it belonged to Adriana. While the initial forensic analysis could not definitively confirm ownership, its location and context were undeniably compelling. Crucial to understanding the ring's significance was the unique environment from which it was recovered. Recognizing this, investigators sought the expertise of marine biologist Professor Wade Pritchard, renowned for his work on oceanic ecosystems and the destructive patterns of marine life. On submerged structures, Professor Pritchard's immediate task was to analyze the worm-eaten piling itself and the precise manner in which the ring had become embedded within it. He examined the types of marine borers present, the depth and age of their tunnels, and the specific characteristics of the wood's degradation. His initial observations focused on the intricate network of tunnels created by these organisms, noting how the ring appeared to have been held in place by their very activity, a testament to the slow, relentless forces of the ocean. With this new, tangible clue, detectives embarked on a strategic re-examination of every aspect of the original disappearance. Witness statements were revisited, original search parameters scrutinized, and initial theories of an accidental fall or a deliberate abduction were now weighed against the perplexing reality of the ring's discovery. The very presence of the ring, wedged deep within the piling, challenged earlier assumptions about how Adriana might have vanished. It suggested a more complex scenario than simply falling into the water and being swept away. New theories began to form, positing a different set of circumstances, perhaps involving the pier's substructure or an interaction with objects or vessels previously deemed irrelevant. The ring, a silent sentinel for nearly a decade, had finally brought the promise of a breakthrough. Professor Wade Pritchard's analytical work on the retrieved piling and the embedded gold ring proved to be the pivotal breakthrough in the 9-year-old cold case. His expertise in marine biology offered a perspective previously unavailable to investigators, transforming inert evidence into a living timeline. Pritchard meticulously examined the intricate patterns of the marine borers, specifically shipworms and gribbles, that had burrowed into the wood. These organisms, sensitive to environmental conditions, leave distinct growth rings and etchings within their tunnels, much like tree rings record annual growth. It was within this biological record that Pritchard identified a precise date band around the area where the ring had become wedged. This band represented a specific period of intensified borer activity, or a particular growth stage, which could be correlated with external factors, thereby providing a remarkably accurate time frame for when the ring became incorporated into the piling. The scientific revelation of the date band was groundbreaking. It suggested the ring had not merely fallen into the water at some indeterminate point, but had become affixed to the piling around a very specific historical moment, an event that significantly narrowed the window of Adriana Costas's disappearance. With this precise temporal marker, investigators embarked on a painstaking cross-referencing process. They delved into historical maritime logs, port authority records, and cruise ship schedules for Key West, focusing on the exact date and time indicated by Pritchard's analysis. This exhaustive review yielded a critical match. The date band precisely aligned with records indicating a specific tender transfer operation at the Key West Pier. Tender transfers, common in busy cruise ports, involve smaller boats ferrying passengers between anchored cruise ships and the dock. Concurrently, detectives revisited all original evidence, including hours of peripheral witness video footage. One particular video, initially dismissed as irrelevant because it appeared to be facing the wrong pier or capturing an area away from the main wedding reception, suddenly took on profound significance. While the footage did not directly show Adriana, it captured activity at an adjacent section of the pier, or a specific mooring point, precisely where the historical records confirmed the tender transfer was taking place on the night of her disappearance. The wrong pier was, in fact, the correct location for a crucial event. The convergence of these disparate pieces of evidence, the marine biologist's precise biological timeline, the confirmed maritime activity, and the overlooked witness video, created a coherent, chilling narrative. It fundamentally shifted the focus of the investigation, providing a precise timeline and a specific operational context that had been entirely missed for nearly a decade. The mystery of Adriana Costas's vanishing was no longer an unexplainable void, but a sequence of events beginning to crystallize around a specific, overlooked activity at the Key West Pier. The convergence of Professor Pritchard's biological timeline, the meticulously cross-referenced maritime records, and the re-evaluated witness video finally provided a coherent, albeit tragic, reconstruction of Adriana Costas's disappearance. The marine borer's date band had unequivocally pinpointed a specific tender transfer operation occurring at an adjacent, less trafficked section of the Key West Pier on the night Adriana vanished. The previously dismissed witness video, once considered tangential, now offered a crucial, if distant, visual record of this very activity. It depicted the movement of passengers and crew, the jostling of small boats against the pilings, and the general commotion inherent in such transfers. Piecing together these elements, investigators concluded that Adriana, seeking a moment of quiet away from the main wedding celebration, had likely gravitated towards this nearby section of the pier. It was an area not directly under the celebratory lights, but alive with the different kind of activity associated with maritime operations. In the low light, amidst the noise of the departing band and the subtle chaos of the tender transfer, it is now believed she either lost her footing or was inadvertently struck or disoriented near the railing, falling into the dark waters below. The powerful currents, compounded by the churning water from the tender boats, would have quickly pulled her away from the immediate vicinity. The gold ring, a symbol of her recent vows, likely became dislodged during the impact or subsequent struggle in the water, becoming wedged by chance into the worm-eaten piling, where it remained a silent, submerged sentinel for 9 years. This resolution, while not providing a recovery of Adriana's body or an explanation for every minute detail, offered her family a profound, albeit painful, understanding of how and where she likely vanished. The endless, agonizing speculation was replaced by a scientifically supported narrative, providing a form of closure that had eluded them for nearly a decade. The knowledge that she had not been abducted, but was likely a victim of a tragic accident at sea, allowed for a different kind of grieving to begin. The legacy of Adriana Costas's case extended beyond her family's closure. It underscored the invaluable role of interdisciplinary investigation, particularly the groundbreaking application of marine biology in cold case forensics. Professor Pritchard's work demonstrated how natural processes, once understood, could serve as precise chronological markers, transforming the environment itself into a silent witness. It also highlighted the critical importance of re-examining overlooked evidence and the potential for new technologies or scientific perspectives to unlock mysteries long considered unsolvable. The sea, which had held its secret for so long, had finally, through its own subtle mechanisms, begun to speak, revealing the poignant truth of a bride lost to its depths, a testament to its enduring power and the relentless pursuit of truth. The convergence of Professor Pritchard's biological timeline, the meticulously cross-referenced maritime records, and the re-evaluated witness video finally provided a coherent, albeit tragic, reconstruction of Adriana Costas's disappearance. The marine borer's date band had unequivocally pinpointed a specific tender transfer operation occurring at an adjacent, less trafficked section of the Key West Pier on the night Adriana vanished. The previously dismissed witness video, once considered tangential, now offered a crucial, if distant, visual record of this very activity. It depicted the movement of passengers and crew, the jostling of small boats against the pilings, and the general commotion inherent in such transfers. Piecing together these elements, investigators concluded that Adriana, seeking a moment of quiet away from the main wedding celebration, had likely gravitated towards this nearby section of the pier. It was an area not directly under the celebratory lights, but alive with the different kind of activity associated with maritime operations. In the low light, amidst the noise of the departing band and the subtle chaos of the tender transfer, it is now believed she either lost her footing or was inadvertently struck or disoriented near the railing, falling into the dark waters below. The powerful currents, compounded by the churning water from tender boats, would have quickly pulled her away from the immediate vicinity. The gold ring, a symbol of her recent vows, likely became dislodged during the impact or subsequent struggle in the water, becoming wedged by chance into the worm-eaten piling, where it remained a silent, submerged sentinel for 9 years. This resolution, while not providing a recovery of Adriana's body or an explanation for every minute detail, offered her family a profound, albeit painful, understanding of how and where she likely vanished. The endless, agonizing speculation was replaced by a scientifically supported narrative, providing a form of closure that had eluded them for nearly a decade. The knowledge that she had not been abducted, but was likely a victim of a tragic accident at sea, allowed for a different kind of grieving to begin. The legacy of Adriana Costas's case extended beyond her family's closure. It underscored the invaluable role of interdisciplinary investigation, particularly the groundbreaking application of marine biology in cold case forensics. Professor Pritchard's work demonstrated how natural processes, once understood, could serve as precise chronological markers, transforming the environment itself into a silent witness. It also highlighted the critical importance of re-examining overlooked evidence and the potential for new technologies or scientific perspectives to unlock mysteries long considered unsolvable. The sea, which had held its secret for so long, had finally, through its own subtle mechanisms, begun to speak, revealing the poignant truth of a bride lost to its depths, a testament to its enduring power and the relentless pursuit of truth.